Testing. 1, 2. How's it sound?
Sounds good. Do a long, but talk like a sentence.
Talk like a sentence. Do what a sentence would do.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Tricks, you know what I'm talking about? That lettuce, that lettuce. Gotta get it. Gotta get it. That lettuce, that lettuce, focused all on the check, yeah. All I want is lettuce. Yeah, just give me the lettuce. Yeah, just give me the lettuce.
Lettuce heads, we are back with another episode of Please Let Us Golf, the
What up?
podcast. Tonight, you got Goldie, you got Mr. Golfberg, you got Adam. How are we doing tonight, gentlemen?
We're good, man. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, he had a little scratchy eye situation when we started. Maybe a little Pinehurst teaser, a little eye. We did have eye gate, Pinehurst number 2, the little sand. So, guys, I want to jump right into this.
Oh, wait. No. Wait. I almost forgot. I have breaking news and I almost forgot. But
okay, you know
Thank
how
you.
I love being interrupted early in the pod, so this better be good.
yeah, stop the presses. You guys, I didn't tell you about this ahead of time, but I came across a story today and I just had to share it with everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, this pro tour, the Epson tour on the LPGA, is allowing electric caddies thanks to a new partnership.
Okay.
With a partnership with this company called MGI. Okay. They are allowing what they're calling electric caddies. What they are automated push carts with remote controls and tiny little screens, very similar to the thing Adam showcased for us, right?
IXI.
IXI. Yeah, we got brand loyalty to IXI, so but we like the idea.
But this story is kind of mind-blowing, man. So apparently, this is a division of the LPGA tour, right?
Yeah.
And
it's like their Corn Ferry tour.
Right. And part of their issue is that a bunch of their players literally can't afford to have caddies. They say
That
like
makes
up to a third of them. So
I know the feeling.
What's that?
I know the feeling.
Right. So this is a problem too. So they create this partnership with these guys, creating this friggin' AI powered push carts with remote controls and everything. And apparently a third of the players on this tour are going to be using them. A third of the players. Now, another third use their friends and family basically just to carry bags at this point. They don't really offer any help or any instruction. And then there's the final third that actually has like a professional caddy that can afford it. So already a third of the caddy jobs on this tour are just gone. My feeling is they're coming for the next third pretty quick once they realize I don't need grandpa lugging my shit around anymore. This thing works just fine.
Well, and a money thing too, right? If any of these people are successful while using the electric caddy, they're going to be like, wait, why am I giving up 10% of my already like fractional proration of professional golf dollars up to somebody else if I can get the electric caddy, the iRobot? And this is crazy for me because this is a lot of worlds colliding. I don't want to preempt any of your points, but you're the king of the caddy scam. You've been kind of hard on the caddy community in general, right? We've had a lot of content about robots taking jobs. We had Aaron Hills. They got robots cutting the grass. We were just at Pinehurst last week. They had robots picking the range. We've done a lot of content on this. Now the robots are coming for the caddies. It's going from a joke to this is some people got to have their head on a swivel here in the golf industry.
Hey, something that Golfberg said really, really caught me. He said some of them are using like their family members as caddies, and some of them are using like professional caddies. So I want to dig into the data here. Like, what's finishing wise, like, is there a difference between the ones that are using pro caddies and the ones that are just using grandma to come off the couch and just grab the bag?
Yeah, for our data golf folks out there, can you please dive into the Epson results and get Pareto it out for us. And we need at least that as a baseline. So when we have this new data set come in with the electronic caddy, we need to know what's going on.
See, and great minds think alike, because I kind of had that thought and I tried to dig in, but man, the Epson Tour doesn't do a great job of releasing timely data. I
Yeah.
couldn't find much. So good luck
Hate
to our
that.
boys, our
I think
lettuce heads out there.
LPGA just started using ShotLink like last year, so I'm pretty sure
Right.
Epson Tour is pretty lax on the what's being captured. When grandma's out there looping for them, they're probably not logging that. But
But I knew you guys had to hear about this. I mean, we're all over the caddy situation. Shout out to our guy JP. Let's send this article his way. Make sure he's aware. He's such a
it,
pro. He's going to be fine.
hey,
He's in the top third.
well, there's a lot going on with jobs that we thought were safe in this world that that are under fire right now. So
Yeah,
caddies beware.
caddies, get your bullet points ready.
Yeah.
What'd you
might
do
wanna-
last week?
Hopefully
What
there's
did you
no
do last week?
hopefully no probationary caddies out there.
Let's go, man! What a great segue into man. I really
Speaking of,
was fired up.
wait. I
Okay,
have to. I'm turning off my Wi-Fi. It might get weird. I'm sorry,
okay, you're
because it
turning
came
off
on
your Wi-Fi?
accidentally.
Oh, okay. I just thought I thought you were just done with the
Yeah,
pod.
I'm done.
At this
Just
point.
peace.
You said I did my
I
part.
nothing caught. I think we're good. All right, roll.
Okay,
Cool.
I think we're good. I think we can even leave that in there. That's people want to know the behind the scenes of how it works when you go from like, man, this bit was so important, I had to be hardwired. So now then the Wi-Fi came on. So no, I am excited, and it's not just because Adam and I just got back from Pinehurst trip, so we are gonna have a moderate amount of content drip out of that. We're gonna do a little podcast review. We played number 2. Everyone wants to know about the championship course, but we also hit a couple other things on the resort and number 10. So number 10, number 1 course of 2024 new. So we'll have some thoughts and takes on that coming up.
Could get
But
spicy.
could get a little spicy. And speaking of spicy, so when we're trying to figure out these interim episodes, right? If you have a guest coming up, it's easy. When we're on a golf trip, it's easy. When Golfberg out there and he plays Chambers Bay, it's easy.
Mhm.
But we have these other topics, and we're starting to get kind of sensitive in particular on okay, what's podcast worthy? And one came up really from a text fight we were having on a recent golf debate of Mr. Golfberg's kind of been firmly in the camp that he thinks like the whole mental side of golf preparation's a scam. We love the word scam for legal reasons. We use scam, for a little clickbait, but what we're trying to say is it's blown out of proportion, right? So it is sports psychology a scam, guys? Like and obviously we're going to focus on this
Hmm.
through golf.
Mhm.
I'm some have called me a little bit of a head case on the golf course. I think it's more of my uh type A personality and my analytical background. I
Yeah.
like the knowledge. I feel like I've been more pro mental golf game side of the house. Adam, we've kind of you've had your takes. I think I won't speak for you, but I know you're a Bob Rotella guy. I know you got the book. I've borrowed the book before a tournament before. So I want to dive into it from that perspective. But guys, before we get going, since Mr. Golfberg is the dissenter, I want to figure out what specifically, like from a discipline perspective of sports psychology, gives you that pause. But
No,
let me tee
I
it up.
liked. I like
I
where
want
you were. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
but I want to tee it up, okay?
Okay.
Because Jack Nicklaus, the game of golf is 90% mental and 10% physical.
I'm gonna write that down.
Arnold Palmer.
Jack, 90%.
Yep. Success in golf depends less on strength of body than upon strength of the mind.
Mm.
Ben Hogan, the most important shot in golf is the next one. Forget about that bad shot. Bobby Jones, golf is a game that is played on a 5-inch course, the distance between your ears. What old guy hasn't came up to you when you were a kid at the range telling you that?
For
So I
me, it's
wanna
6 inches, but yeah, I get the point.
Yes. So yeah, I do, the 5-6 inch Discord, 6-7 for anybody that's into pop culture right now.
You-
So a little callback there.
But
So, yeah.
that was something important, and all 4 of those guys have something really critical in common. All insanely great professional golfers. And obviously, the mental approach to the game of golf at the pro level is critically important. The margin on everything they're doing is critically important. It's why these guys have bought into the insane aim point shit, which I know we're going to hit on later. Anything that I can do to shave percentage points of stuff off, they're into. What I'm saying is the amateur game, and I can't imagine the size. I tried looking it up, I couldn't find any reliable data of the self help, golf psychology industry. But there are infinite amounts of books that they're selling to people. I remember I had one by some guru at one point, and one of their tips was connect your heart to the hole while you're putting. And I remember Kelly found that, just laughed and was like, throw this book away. That's a cool wife. She knew immediately, like, this is fucking garbage. So I guess just to not to go too deep down any rabbit hole immediately, my simple premise would be there is nothing that an amateur golfer can do for their brain specifically related to golf. So just go practice. If you want to improve your mental game and how you feel mentally on the course, go practice. So that's the idea. I put way more weight on actually becoming a competent golfer than worrying about how to get in the right headspace. Because, chime in whenever you want, but you just said, Gola, you're super analytical. You're being you. And I think everyone just kind of has to be themselves in the way they would approach normal shit. That's how you approach golf. Don't force anything. And anyway, but carry on.
Now,
That's
I have a
Mhm.
I have a lot of questions and takes, but Adam, I want to tee it up to you. I have stole your couple of your Bob Rotella books. So where are you at on this topic?
Yeah, I've got the Golf is Not a Game of Perfect book. It's a great book. A lot of great principles by Mr. Rotell himself. I'd say I buy in to most of it. I'm a big, and it kind of goes back to what Aaron was just saying, like go practice, which I think leads to like confidence. Like I think confidence is like the biggest like driving mental factor for anybody like to be successful at golf.
And confident. You're right. So confidence truly is everything. And one thing I stumbled upon, I was doing a little research. There's this Science Direct journal, and it really tried from the psychology of sports medicine at some university. It's really trying to explore like how people get into that flow state, into that zone. But it really emphasized that one of the leading factors in allowing these athletes to get there was the amount of shot preparation work they did before the tournament. Like they just know they have it. And I think it's
Yeah.
about like, you can't fake it to your subconscious. And I've kind of like not on a pro level, but I've gotten to a point where I've striped so many, 9 irons as a certain way. I'm like, man, I know this shot. And it does feel a certain way. Pros have to do this on an elite level. And my guess is just anyone who dials it in that hard, when you come up to that moment in a tournament or whatever, like you know, deep down inside, you've done it, you can do it. If you haven't, what are you relying on? You're just hoping your brain goes to some like matrix level world where now you're in control of the elements. And I don't
I,
know.
so if I'm gonna be my own devil's advocate, that's the route I was gonna go. Was I think the misnomer, and this isn't a data golf pod or a golf fitness pod, but I do want to get into those scams as well.
Hmm.
I think the problem is people, yeah, they think you're going to read this book and it's going to replace the thousands of hours of practice, right? And I think what both of you are hitting on is like experiences drive behavior, and routine and execution drives confidence and behavior and blah, 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 blah. Got it. But yeah, like what I've noticed with it is when I've actually, like, for instance, I remember specifically reading chapters of the Golf is Not a Game of Perfect before mid-am qualifier, and I felt so good
Mm.
going into it. However, it lasted as long as like the first really egregiously bad shot was hit, right? And I think that's and I would say the misnomer on the mental golf side is it's not that much different than the physical. From you have to like continually repetitively do it to actually not trick your subconscious, but actually like train your subconscious of this is what you really believe besides like what you want to have happen. Like you almost have to go from this is like a hopeful ambition to a mission. And I think there's merit to that too, even on the physical side. Like you'll just kind of people will bitch about how they play, but it's like, but you're not putting in any of the work that actually is going to make you better. And I also would say there's probably just way too many generalities on the mental golf side. Like even the Jack thing, the golf's 90% mental might be the worst quote in history. And but the interesting thing about these OG quotes, they didn't have sports psychology back then. So their idea of like they were just doing it from the lens of like, I'm mentally strong because
Yeah.
I'm mentally strong. They didn't go sit with like a psychologist for 10 years to get stronger. So you got to take some of those quotes with a grain of salt too. So Adam, sorry, yeah, I know you had something there.
Well, I was just gonna say, when you mentioned, like, you hit a bad shot, and, like, one of the things in that, you know, one of his principles is, like, you gotta move on. You gotta start thinking about the next shot. Like, you can't what just happened, you have to erase it from your mind, you gotta start thinking about the next shot, which, like, it's like one of those things, like, it's easy to say, and it's just very, very difficult to do, especially when you follow up that bad shot with another bad shot, and you're like, "Well, I thought I moved on," and then, like, you're in your head at that point, and
Yeah.
and it's
And
another thing with, like, really, really good golfers like Jack and Tiger where, like, maybe something like that is much easier for them where their bad shots are, like, very
yeah.
few and far between, but
Yeah. Also, you have the whole issue of like, um, it, it's kind of made robot golfers too. So we've already talked about robots taking jobs. They've kind of
Mhm,
uh, psychologically infiltrated and made some of the humans kind of android like of the emotionless golfer, right? That's what a lot of this mental golf jargon is done, right? Like don't no highs, no lows, and you got a whole slew of them into golf, and maybe that is the best way to be consistent over a period of time as a professional golfer. But man, some duds out there, man. No fire, no pizzazz.
that's why
Mr. Golfer,
Spieth is so I'm
yeah,
sorry, I was
that's.
just gonna say
I
that's
mean,
why
no,
Spieth everyone loves him just because he wears, like, everything, like, on his sleeve, like, you know exactly
yeah,
what he's thinking, what he's going
it
through.
just seems relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, so when we talk about Mr. Golfberg dissenting, so some of it we've pushed back on, or I've pushed back on, is like, where does that line even draw for the amateurs, right? Like, do you consider pre-shot routines and visualization and breathing, positive self-talk? Are those, I mean, those are probably things that have come out of the sports psychology arena that I think most decent golfers
Mhm.
do to some degree. So are we bucketizing those kind of things, or are we talking the next level?
No, and most of those things are legit. Golf is a crazy sport because, like, you're playing basketball, it's just intense the whole time you're on the floor. The whole game's 40 minutes, whatever, sweat and adrenaline. Like, golf is 4 hours, and you've got all these micro moments, hopefully 72 or less of them, where you've got to focus. So it really is about, like, your brain can let loose for a while, whatever. But when you need something to kind of trigger yourself back in, some sort of routine, and some guys do a visualization. I think all that's the on the golf course kind of tactical, how I get myself ready to hit a shot. Yeah, like have at it. I guess I'm just referring more to like the just the kind of like maybe it's the pre-golf mental prep work and just my whole approach to the game and just thinking that like these zen states I'm going to try to put myself in and also like or it's the insane level of focus I'm going to maintain on a course, which is what pros require, which is just not practical. You're with your friends, people are playing music, there could be neighbors that you're hearing because they're in the
Yeah.
houses, the cart girls coming by. You cannot be one of those schmucks who's just telling everyone to be quiet and hey, you're in my line a little bit and you're just messing up the flow state I'm trying to create. Like you won't golf with people again. So it's like, how do I become the best golfer I can be in this social world of golfing? It's not like tournaments. So then, like you said, prepping for a tournament's a whole other thing, right? And like you really have to have those reps and you can pretend like, well, I read a book and I'm playing good golf, so I'm ready to go. Probably not. You have to play a ton of tournaments. So
Yeah.
it literally is just practice. Anyway,
Hey,
and
one,
I've case in point, I've driven myself nuts before tournaments before a club championship. Just like I had as much anxiety as if I was going to friggin' get on a 20-hour plane flight to friggin' Australia the next day. I just think something about just like let it go and just not worrying about it and kind of letting it happen. That's for me, that feels like the right approach.
Yeah, it's in a way you can almost use the mental golf as an excuse, right? Like, to your point, I think until you get to a certain point in your golf career, you're playing certain levels. The real culprit is just you're not practicing.
Yeah.
Like that's and you think it's all these. I mean, you hear guys talk about them at the range all the time. I'm focusing on this. I'm doing this thing. I have this feel, and that's great. But when it comes down to it, the second that isn't working on the course, you're just going to change everything you do in your golf swing. So like no mental tip is gonna, I think, get you through that. But I don't know. I'm still a believer that you need your own core fundamentals to be functional on the golf course. Adam, any thoughts? If not, we'll
I,
just
I think
cut you
Mr.
out.
Rotella would agree with that, or maybe
But,
he
but
wouldn't.
yeah, but would they also agree that their whole industry is becoming just potential scam adjacent? Is that like
Well,
do these pros really need, like, what if they didn't have it?
Didn't have what? The 7
Like,
people on their squad, yeah,
well,
helping
yeah,
them
yeah,
with
yeah. Like it's kind of like
everything.
everybody's got. I got a physio. I got a psychologist. I got a chef. I'm like, what?
I think you know
Okay.
why, because this is something
Okay,
you
well, I
hit on
got I got two hurt wrists from hitting off of the shit I play on all winter. So
it's actually because it's not just golf. Some you hit on a couple pods ago. They wanna have it all. They wanna be married, they wanna raise children, they wanna be business people, they wanna open restaurants, have 7 different brands going, doing charity tournaments, like, it's the lifestyles they have to manage now are
they're a
nuts, like
corporation.
yeah,
They're really a corporation who happens to be really good at golf.
I'm kind of
yes.
curious if like some of these pro golfers. I know, um, what's his name that won at the U.S. Open.
Not Highsmith?
Xander,
I'm sorry,
Xander.
no,
Oh,
2 years
when
ago.
did
Bryson.
Wyndham, yeah, Wyndham.
Wyndham
So
Clark?
he's
Okay.
one of the guys that's he has a psychologist, and apparently it's really helped him. But it's one of those
So
things
does
where
Max, though.
is it one of those things where is it just the thought like that you have one, or are they actually helping you?
Well, here's another thing. You always hear that about when the guy wins the major, but they all have one. So what about the other 155 guys in the US Open field who shit the bed, right? Like, like
Well,
it seems like, okay,
with
if
better
you're
health these days, they probably all have therapists too.
wait, but the it is, I think, in the data world, I think maybe we'd call that an ecological fallacy, or
Mm.
somebody might correct me if that wasn't 100% the right attribution, but it it seems like you're really falsely identifying something potentially as like, this is what did it for me, and it's like, okay, but you said Max, Aaron. Okay, Max talked about this stuff too, but now that Max is playing poorly, no one's going like, "Oh man, he's just not with his therapist enough." It's a physical thing, and I'm sure they would say there's an underlying mental block component, but
Well,
I
the
don't think
therapist
you.
is telling him it's because of the brand changes. It's definitely nothing to do with the therapist.
Yeah, it's nothing
Yeah.
to do with. It's
No.
not me like at all.
Might be the caddy.
So guys, going through this kind of breeds as like an offshoot into this is what we didn't want to do, is just focus on like silly golf superstitions, because there's been enough articles and pods on that, but we did throw it out to the lettuce heads like,
Mhm.
hey, do you have anything weird associated with the game of golf that you want to dox yourself with? And before we get into them, I wanted to start. Tiger Woods kind of has one. So I don't know
Really?
if you guys do this. He marks his ball with a coin, and the heads is always facing up. And he said if it's tails, he knows the ball has been moved. And this goes all the way back to the 1996 US Am, when he had a close match and he had to move a putt, and he was about to putt again, and his playing competitor stopped him before he executed the stroke and reminded him that he moved his mark. And he said from then on, he's always used head side up, and then if he ever has to move his mark, he does it to tail. So maybe a superstition in a way of adjacent to the golf gods, which we'll get into in a second.
It
But
seems like
we
a good
did.
practical rule because, I've seen ball markers that actually have that where it'll say on one side, and then the other side you flip over, and it's like you moved it for the putt. I don't know the terminology, but yeah, that
Should
just
be
seems
called
like a good
the tiger marker.
good prevention
Um,
method.
so we had one come in from Mr. Doggy Drones. He said, quote, I only hit golf balls with even number clubs on the range before a round. So
That's
I don't know
insane.
I don't know if you have a number 13 in the bag with the odd, but that's a superstition we're here for. We had C_rad57, quote, I have certain polos I avoid when the golf matters. And certain polos that I can guarantee I'll play good in. So, Mr.
Right.
C_rad, maybe
It's
Conrad out there,
a dangerous game
he
to play.
yeah, he claims that he has polos that he knows he will avoid and or bring on when the golf matters. So it makes me think like maybe you just always wear the golf polo anytime you're golfing that you know works. That would
No,
be what
because
I
then you end up blowing it.
yeah, that's you only want to I'm sure
It's
that
a
would be
very
his
dangerous
counter of
game
you
to play.
you only want to do it when it really matters. And then guys, we had a lot of submissions about the golf gods in general. People are very fearful of the almighty golf gods. So the two most common ones we got were one, you're not going to jump ahead of a birdie or an eagle for fear of like penalty from the golf gods. A
Unless they
lot of
allow it,
people,
right? Yeah.
and as simple as that is, there was people that no matter what, even if they say it, I'm not doing it. I'm like, okay, I get it.
That's
And then the
ridiculous.
other one was the whole fixing of the divots and the ball marks. If they think you're going to get like you get a offering and you're going to get something back in the round from the golf gods. So those were the two call outs I had, and then the two
Well,
more common ones.
that second one, that he's right on that. That is good karma. You should fix more ball marks, and you will make more putts. That's actually a fact.
Hey,
So good. Mhm.
wasn't it Ernie Els that like replaced after he made a birdie, he just took that ball out of play and replaced it with like a new ball, like every single
Oh, I
birdie
didn't.
he made?
No, we have. Hold on. Dun 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 dun. More
More
breaking
breaking
news.
news.
I'll
Well, here it is.
I'll
Ernie
rhyme with you.
Els. Yeah, he donated him to charity. Probably. He's such a
Yeah,
stud. What a swing.
Well, yeah, he had to carry like I mean,
every
his caddy
time.
had to carry like 15 balls in his bag.
A
Most of
shitload.
these guys like take like 3, and I mean,
Yeah,
you have to take.
good thing he wasn't playing modern golf with that silky swing on some of these soft pillow fights out there. He'd be going through 24 a round out there, just firing birdies.
That's a good call.
Yeah. So anybody else scared of the golf gods out there?
I mean, it is funny when you start thinking, what are
I've,
superstitions? I
I've prayed
sort
to him a couple times in a
Oh,
round.
I'm all about the golf gods for sure.
Yeah.
If there's any gods I'm going to buy into, it's the golf gods. So I love that.
Well,
But I do have this thing I do where, and I don't put like similar to C-Rad in the shirt, because if you wore it every time, you'd realize this is absolute bullshit. Because superstitions are paranoid delusions, by the way. That's just what they're considered. That's a dictionary definition. But I had a thing where, man, and I would only pull it out with like 10 to 15 footers when I really needed it. But like once around, if I say if I just say like this is going in, I know it, and I think I'm like 107 for 107. I don't know if it's ever not
But
worked,
you have the discipline to know like when you're allowed
but
to pull
still,
it out.
I've kind of surprised myself how it works. I'm a little, so I'm a little psycho about that one. I haven't actually used it in a couple rounds. Like that's
Yeah.
how nuts I get about it. You only
That
pull it
is
out when you
kind
need
of
it.
like you're probably just it's a little severance adjacent. Like you can just access a mini flow state of like you get that like boom, that look in the eye of like I can really dial this up. But then you like deplete yourself. It's like
Right.
PNC. I'm
No,
not
that
gonna
actually
say what
reminded me of
that
something
is
else.
out.
Alex Honnold, the free solo climber?
Yes.
yes.
The best free
Okay, now you and Adam have this conversation. This
There
is
you
his speed. He's the climber.
Free Solo is one of the coolest movies ever made. You clearly
Absolutely.
loved it, right?
Yes. Everyone, please stop. If you have not watched that, go watch it now. It's like absolutely riveting.
100%. One of the coolest takeaways is this guy. There is one specific move on this mountain slope where basically with the harness on, he can't execute it. He's like, it is so complicated, but he knows that when he has the pressure of no rope, he will be able to pull it off because he goes to like this whole other fucking level of mental focus and ability. It's like the pure version of the zone, like that thing Kobe could get to, the thing MJ could get to. And he pulls this thing off where if he screws up, and this move he kept falling from with a rope, and he pulls it off. Anyway, this guy just blows my mind. He's one of the coolest, most inspiring people ever. But to bring it a little back down to earth, I feel that way a little bit with putting right now. Like I'm so dialed in with putting that it's almost boring to practice now, and I kind of need I need a birdie, an eagle putt to really lock in, and then once I'm there, I'll probably make it. But it's almost like I need to be free solo putting now at this point. I've kind of hit a new level.
Well, the
I'm a
only
free
thing I
solo
was gonna,
putter.
I didn't want to cut you off because that was a beautiful
Can we
soliloquy,
get
but
shirts made that say free solo putting, please?
yeah, trademark. Just anybody out there, that is, we're racking up the trademarks. But Aaron, I was gonna throw it back in your face though, of like, hey, if you're gonna use that model, he unhooked his safety net, so no more golf logics, green maps.
Wait,
Those are just a crutch.
no,
You don't need the topo, man. It's too. You need the adrenaline. You got to go do it yourself.
Adam was about to show. Go watch that movie. The prep work he does and the way he maps out every inch of the mountain ahead of time. So he's a total golf logics guy. But you're right, he can't carry it with him on the slope. So he has to
Yeah.
embed it in his head.
Do you think it's more of a mental or a physical skill that he employs there?
Good
So
question.
guys,
Jack
that was,
Nicklaus says that mountain climbing is 90% mental.
yeah, he's just, right, Barb. Yeah, I could get up there, but I just did it. So guys, that was great. Outside of a few pauses that are gonna get edited out, so no one knows the difference. Technical glitches happen, man. We got a lot going on, different
Yeah.
parts of the country. But we're going to transfer into my least favorite part of the pod. So if you're listening now, I highly recommend turn it off. Nobody wants to hear this, but for some reason everybody does. We're going to do a little professional golf recap here. So guys, we had the Cognizant Classic down in Palm Beach. Is a nice place of the year, PGA National. Had to go through the bear trap, and boy, was this leaderboard an absolute win for the best professional golf tour in the world. Joe Highsmith, congrats, Joe. Let's just start there. Joe, you won a PGA Tour event. You played amazing golf today. Little backstory on Joe. Corn Ferry Tour, he got on the PGA Tour last year, missed almost every cut, barely had status for the fall series. He got on a heater in the fall series, so he got status into PGA Tour into 25. Missed 3 of his first 5 cuts, and then boom, he wins PGA Tour
But-
event. Now he's top 10 in the FedEx Cup.
Quick question about him though: is he
Yeah.
sponsored by the Corn Ferry Tour? Because he wears
is.
Corn Ferry Tour
he's-
on his shirt.
Well, his core title sponsor is the Corn Ferry Tour. So I
What?
mean, these guys are coming for the PGA Tour. Which,
What?
let's be real, you're laughing, but the reality is the Corn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour are, if this whole merger thing, they're going to be one thing anyways. These second tier events, that's just how it's what's going to happen. But
I'm more into the Epson Tour.
yeah, the Epson Tour they got electric caddies. It seems a little bit more our speed.
Yeah.
But I know, Adam, you probably got some shots to fire. But real quick here to round out the top 5, we have Joe Highsmith, the 1, Jacob Bridgman. Everyone's pulling for Jacob. JJ Spawn, we do know JJ, Max McGreevy, and Ben Griffin. So that's your top 5. And there was a promise for PGA Tour today. It was George Spieth was making a run. He cracked the top 5. Jake Knapp was leading on the back 9 till he took the dumbest triple in history. And even Russell Henley was up there and he took a dub. So they did have a few names at this event, but they all kind of faltered and you just got a blah fest. Adam, you're our we have to keep this in for you. We know you're a pro golf junkie. So any thoughts?
Depressing. I'm just very depressed. I don't know why these events have to exist anymore. I really don't. Why is this on TV? I mean,
I don't even want
and
to
you
be
know what?
around anymore.
It's kind of like it's a shame on you, Cognizant, whatever. I don't know what that is, but
No one does.
but it's honestly just reckless use of your business.
So one thing, Adam, you said Cognizant, something that popped up on Instagram earlier that just made, I'm sure 0.1% of people that see this laugh. I literally laughed out loud. PGA Tour was pushing cognizant flashbacks from 1992, because what they do is, no matter that the venue has changed and the title sponsor changes 50 times, whoever the current title sponsor is, they just name all the previous events that. So they're like, it was
Oh,
oh
no
man, I
way.
forgot who it was. Anyways, but it was a big name golfer, but it was the 92 Cognizant Classic, and I was like, it was not at the same course, and it was Cognizant didn't exist. So,
It's
it
been
just
the
makes you like,
Honda for, like, forever, right?
yeah,
Wasn't it?
forever.
I mean, Honda was that was, like,
I
the
think that was like their
longest
longest
stint.
running.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the Lakers taking those Minneapolis titles. Some
Yeah.
bullshit. Yo, let's give a shout out to Jake Knapp though with that 59. Jake Knapp's one of my guys, one of our first pods, underrated golfers. I did my dissertation on Jake Knapp, silky smooth swing. Had a
Yeah.
moment on the 11th hole where he made an ill-advised decision, I suppose. I did a little bit of research, by the way. The electric caddy by MGI, if your ball is even touching water, it gives you an alert that you should take a drop. So that's some of the AI that's built into their electric caddy. Maybe some intel that he could use next time.
They did a little behind the scenes on him right before that too, that showed his gym workout. He's one of these guys that does like powerlifting the day of events. But they showed him he's repping 260 a few times on the bench. He was doing 365 on the squats. He had cannon arms too. I was
Dude,
like,
he's a
I
former,
mean,
doorman, right?
but the problem is all that muscle.
Security,
He
dude.
thought he could play a golf ball under the mud. There was
Yeah.
none of the golf ball was showing above the water, and he just was like, I can hit that shot, and then he got to hit it 3 times. So tough scene for old Jake, but yeah,
He's so good, man. He'll learn. He's fine.
oh yeah,
He's fine.
he'll be up there, silky
His
smooth.
mental game may have taken a hit today, but,
Yeah, so I don't even know how to transition to this topic because I normally type A it and do this, but Mr. Golfberg was adamant to add this topic. Yeah, it's something to do. He hates kids. Is that what it is?
No, I love kids. I got
Adam
kids.
didn't even know what this was about. You did send me something a couple days ago about some like kids roundtable podcasts that just that triggered you. So what? Let's see if this makes the cut. The world is your oyster. I'm just here to listen.
Look, I got triggered. And Adam's had the floor typically. He's watching stuff online and he's throwing it back out there, and I just had to bring this to everyone's attention. So I'm not going to call out any of these kids by name because these are children. I think they're 5th graders. I don't think they're even in middle school yet, but it is called the McFoodie Boys. All right. And they got this podcast. These 4
At
10-year-olds,
McFoodie Boys. Okay.
whatever, talking about food, roundtable style, right? They're blowing up. And the reason I heard about them is because there's all these other major pods out there going, oh, you got to see these McFoodie Boys. I mean, they're up to, hundreds of thousands in like 10 podcasts or whatever, hundreds of thousands of followers all over the place, getting deals, all these, Chick-fil-A sending them to their stores and whatever, sending them Doritos to eat and all this shit. And, and these big pods are like, these kids are coming for our jobs. And I'm just like, fuck that, man. I think I'm triggered because I have kids myself, and I've got a 9-year-old that would love nothing more than to start a YouTube channel, and I really want to support it. But I'm like, what do you have to say? These kids have absolutely nothing to say, and I'm just disappointed that our society continues to promote not the worst in us, but just this offers no benefit to society whatsoever. It's worse than the Hawk girl. So like, they're a food podcast. They ask questions like this. So red or blue Doritos, what are your favorite? And they start talking. Purple Doritos will get mentioned a couple times. Consensus? No one answered that question. They never got around to it. But they did mention purple Doritos. They also did one where they explored pizza toppings, the whole world of pizza toppings. There's a million
And
amazing
that was the
pizzas.
clip. This is the clip you sent to
Right.
me. This is hilarious.
Consensus? Cheese. Mainly cheese. One guy will do pepperoni every once in a while, though it tastes weird.
Yes,
But right. But they do understand that it is a popular topping. So they get it. So they're bringing people into the world of pizzas. Good. They're cheese guys, maybe pepperoni. So on a later pod, they revisited the idea of pizza and talked about pineapple pizza. Consensus. They've never had it. Fucking brilliant. But the leader of the pod, and I'm not calling him out by name, though his hair looks a lot like mine, dude. He says, I might give it a shot, but doesn't love the idea of cooked fruits or vegetables. I kind of get that. I kind of get that. So now they're rolling to breakfast. They're just asking questions to themselves. They asked, what's the difference between normal and Belgian waffles? Consensus? Not sure. They don't know. They don't know. They kind of threw it out there, but they don't really know. But there's a smart kid on the pod. Quote, pancakes and syrup, an all-time duo. So he's on that shit. He's already figured that shit out. By the way, this kid's a psycho. He has literally packed the same exact thing for lunch since kindergarten every day. He's never bought a lunch. He broke it down. A juice box is in there. A little yogurt's in there. His peanut butter
I used to
jelly.
do that. Yeah, I did that all through high school.
I can see that.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a Fruitopia. That's all you need.
And right, you're psycho. So I wasn't sure. We got a little Adam in the works here, or a future CEO. Something's happening. Speaking of Adam, I'm glad you chimed in because the leader did say, if mom packs a bad lunch, he'll buy an Uncrustable.
Oh,
Man, I like that guy.
He'll buy an Uncrustable. They did flash the purple kind, though, which I know you don't like. I don't know if that was just the producers did that without thinking about it. Who really knows? So
Miners only had the purple one.
Last thing here, because I don't want to dunk too hard on it. I respect these kids.
I mean, honestly, everything you said it just made me want to go watch some of the clips.
Yeah, see,
so
that's the
you're
problem.
just platforming them
because we're all just the same idiots. Okay, so one of the clips was presented as Kendrick versus Lamar beef on the pod. I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. So here's how they set it up. What they're really doing is they're asking the four dudes, what are your top 3 favorite artists? 2 of the kids, they don't have a list. I don't know. I don't really have a top 3. I don't really know. Depends the mood. It just depends what mood, but didn't name an artist. That's fine.
Yeah.
So the leader mentions he's a Kendrick Lamar fan. Right after that, the smart kid mentions he's a Drake fan. And they just kind of nod. No mention at all of the beef. Not a mention at all of the Super Bowl or anything interesting. They just moved on. But the producers knew, oh shit, we got a moment here. So they kind of threw it as pod beef, Kendrick versus Lamar. But no, these kids were just, oh, and by the way.
So who do you think's producing all this shit? Their parents?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's somebody, I guess. I mean, they have a nice room and they have nice equipment. And
I know that's the only part that I wasn't gonna go there. The only part that triggered me was like, dude, these fucking 9-year-old shitheads have a $20,000 pod studio set up. It's like, okay.
It's unbelievable, man. They're just talking about food they've never eaten.
Caddies too,
dude. I was kind of blown away, so I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. My fear is we're 6 months away from a McFoodie Boys coin. They're gonna get into crypto. There's gonna be a rug pull. These little kids are gonna be in juvie in about 12 months.
Well, that was gonna be part of my intro too. I wasn't excited just because of the John Cena heel turn. I was excited because I saw the U.S. announced through some social media app today that we're going to have billions in XRP reserves, and that's going to save our our financial solvency for the future. I wish I held on to a little bit of that Ripple back in the day now.
Yep. Even though the crypto market is tanking, even with Elon and Trump in charge. So who knows what the hell's going on. But yo, McFoodie Boys, good luck. You're inspiring my children, and that scares the shit out of me. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna check these guys out. Is this talk or IG?
I probably everywhere.
Talk.
Everywhere.
Okay.
These kids love that talk, man. So Adam, kicking it over to you. You're going to bookend us with the content of the week, and you did ask me to have something ready to go, so I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm good at opening links. So give me a second, and I will share a screen.
Yeah, so we've taken a couple weeks off with the worst content of the week. We don't want to just throw out anything, and this definitely caught my eye. This, as Aaron said, this triggered me, and this is coming from Aimpoint Golf account on Instagram, and they've been catching some strays here lately. They got Lucas Glover and even Paige, our girl Paige is getting on the Aimpoint hater train. But they've got a side by side. This is kind of like them, rebuking folks saying that aim point takes forever, and there's all these steps, and you're stomping around on the greens. And so aim point, they went to IG and put out this video, and it's Jordan Spieth and Adam Scott. It's a side by side video of them on the same green. They're in the same group, and it's relatively the exact same putt. And they've got a little timer up in the top right that's timing their routine, their putting routine, and it's also counting their steps on the green. And shocker here, they've got Jordan Spieth with 41 footprints on the green, and he kind of did a little walk around and took a good look at it. And it took him like 43 seconds, and then on the top,
footprint a second. That's pretty sick.
yeah. Yeah, and then the top video where Adam Scott's using aim point, he took 28 seconds and only took 3 steps. No, 13 foot.
13 steps.
Yep.
Was he LeBron?
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, mega steps.
3 steps from the fringe.
Yeah.
He only took 13.
Got 3 steps from the 150 mark. Yeah, they had 2 steps and a gather from the 150, and so it was all good. Sorry,
can play.
But yeah, so Adam Scott, he's been using aim point for a while. 13 footprints, 28 seconds against Jordan Spieth with 40-something footprints and 40-something seconds.
Right.
Case closed, everybody. Case closed. We've got one data point.
So their whole point, I'm assuming, is that they post this side by side, same putt, same day. Looks like the Masters. Jordan Spieth, Adam Scott. And they're just showing from this one clip that an aim putter was significantly faster than a traditional reader. So therefore, no more discourse.
It's closed.
Yeah, it's case closed. It's like the worst of social media, because you dig into the comments and it's just like,
what is the story there?
What is this
I mean, well,
Adams just had that putt 100 more times, just knows that Jordan was nervous.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jordan Spieth is known as one of the most finicky guys in the world. So they're using a 4-footer, and Jordan Spieth backs off of it. And he's about to putt before Adam Scott, but they pick a putt where Jordan Spieth backed off the putt.
Which Adam Scott never does.
And knowing Jordan Spieth, he was probably in contention here since it was at Augusta, right?
Yeah, and also Augusta, some of the most complex greens on the planet. So, him taking a little extra long look at it. Again, this video is so cringe that they put this out as like their rebuke.
Well, you got to think though, these guys literally, in their defense, they're probably scared because they have a whole business now that is predicated on aim point. You see douchers out at the course now, like I only do it with my feet, and I'm like, no, you don't. You don't know what you're doing. But they have a lot of professional golfers that have gone to it, and with some critical mass going to the camp of pace of play, and aim point is part of the problem. It's like, but that was so disingenuous. It's almost representative of like everything wrong with the world. Even if all the data proved out that it really wasn't, aim point is that much slower than traditional reading of the greens. That was such horseshit. The fact that, like, how dumb do you think I am? And that's what pisses me off about it. It's like, maybe the average Joe's stupid as shit, but that really annoyed the hell out of me. Of you're going to use a putt at Augusta under 2 different set of circumstances. It's like, okay, that's like the dumbest way to assess whether or not your putting method is. And like, how many times do we need to see a 2-footer with somebody's back to the hole and straddling the line to go like, this is ridiculously stupid.
Well, their argument there is that they're not using aim point correctly. That if you're using it within 2 feet, that you're not using it correctly. Is their argument.
In their defense, like, also, I have no issue with aim point. I just have an issue. You do whatever you want. I don't care if you do handstands, even though that might be a technical violation.
Handstands.
But it's just, as long as you do it within a time constraint, then it doesn't matter.
What's the story with green maps at this point?
So PGA Tour, you don't have them. You have like the general slope, but there can't be any specificity of like percent grade or any of that stuff.
But can you have the arrows and the colors?
No, not on the
No,
PGA Tour.
right? Because isn't that what aim point is solving for? If they could just see that, they don't need aim point. God, that would
I
speed up
guess,
the
but they
game.
were
Why don't you
doing
just
it.
let everyone have these green maps?
I think the
Yeah,
green map slowed the game down.
yeah, they were doing too much.
But you don't have to do any of the mental calculus. You're just looking.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
you
still
pull out
not
your book and you're like looking at your
having to
book
figure
for
out
30
exactly where you're
seconds,
at.
and then you
Yeah.
have to get down and read the putt.
Aaron, it's just like you free solo, man. Why don't you just get up there and feel it and just roll the rock?
Because there's a
Yeah,
lot of
man.
prep that requires the ability to
Yeah.
go free solo. Okay.
Yeah.
Those
Green
Augusta
maps are part of it.
Greens and El Capitan, I mean, it's essentially the same thing, man. It's about as good as it gets.
I think we just got to. I'm really in the camp of they got to figure out how to just do a shot clock on the greens. It would be epic for professional golfers.
You can't have
That's
the getting louder though with the heartbeat. You can't do
That'd
that.
be cool. That'd be great. You know, I say that, but at the same token, there shouldn't be a shot clock like on the final groups on a Sunday. So I can't have it both ways. Like the drama of somebody walking a putt for 2 minutes on something that matters is epic. It's just a problem is when fucking guys are doing it. I can tell them at the end of the pod, my F bombs. I went from 0 to like 7 in the last 30 seconds. Sorry, guys. You know, it's like when it's a Thursday, 8-footer, it gets a little bit tedious. But yeah, all of a sudden on a Sunday, you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. It matters more.
I also just refuse to believe that green maps would slow the game down in general. It would absolutely speed up putting. If there was also this idea that like putting needs to be faster, we are going to provide you these as a way of getting faster. You know the general makeup of these greens. You see it now. You have the idea. You don't have to second guess. Oh yeah, I did see a right to left. Now I can trust it. I know. I mean, I don't.
the problem is
That
most people
must be
don't
my
even know how
purest
to
piece.
even read the books.
Yeah.
It's the arrows and the colors. If it's white, it's not moving. As it gets more from blue to green, it gets a little more intense. And the red, it's super intense. That's the
I just
slope. And the
Goldie's
arrows show you the
colorblind.
direction.
my golf purist take on it though is again like I think I just don't like some about. I was like that does kind of almost seem like cheating. Like getting yard. I never understood
Oh,
the issue of range finders and all that, but I'm not talking about for me and you. I just mean for pros. Like you, you got
Green reading's a
caddies
skill.
perfect. Yeah, like you got to go know how to do it.
well,
Like
green
sorry,
reading. Okay. That's a super unique skill because there's no
but
other part of the game that requires, we've talked about this using the ground,
that's the
obviously. So
separate. I feel like that's how you. That's one of the big separators. So you don't just get the power player up there and then have a AI read the green for them. That's where we're headed with these
I can tell
these
golfers
digital.
like, yeah, get rid of these books. Green
no,
reading is a
I mean,
skill.
I'm intrigued by the idea, but I'm not sold that the requirement to be a great golfer means you have to be able to read greens really well because it is just it's
Ooh,
an
I'm gonna
information.
isolate that. I would
Well,
argue it's a top 2, probably 3
it's not
skill.
about execution. It's about gathering information. That's a different part of the game. So I'm just saying we have all these hacks because we have range finders and you can get all that and you don't really have to play the ground. And now all of a sudden, now I've got to know the way the earth is affecting what I'm about to do. And I do like it, but
I
I'm just
love it.
saying,
I
I
think
don't
I
know.
like it
I,
because I'm not going to dox them here, but I'm a pretty good putter, but I think it's more on the good at reading green side than like technical execution side. And I've played with a couple guys that have like really good putting strokes. It's end over end every time, and they just aren't good at reading greens, and it makes me so happy with that. I'm like, you'll just never be great because you can't. You just don't have the. Because to me, it's like there's like a soul to it. There's a feel like you really are one with the course and the game. It's not this.
well, the greens that we
I
play
like
on,
that.
they've got a lot of grain to them, and that's, I mean,
You got to
you gotta
know.
really know. I mean, that
Well,
affects
those are
a
cool. I
lot.
love the Bermuda green reading experience, how you taught to me, because you're right. It's not just what you're looking at. You actually have to know how the grain affects the shot. It actually felt simpler.
Yeah. Once you get comfortable with it, I think it is simpler because it's like it's hard to pick up on all these subtleties, but you almost get a comfort level of like, if you know where that grain's going, just err
Hmm.
on that and you're usually okay.
Yeah.
Where I'm the flip side. When I get off of the grainy Bermuda, I usually struggle because I'm like, where's my cheat code? I can't feel this. Maybe I got to go to aim point.
Green maps.
I'm kind of with Adam. I've struggled with them. Like I can't find out exactly where I'm at, and it drives me. It's my analytical side, and then I don't trust it, and it's like a double-edged sword.
I think, yeah, what you're looking for is probably more than what I am. I'm just like a general feel for,
Yeah.
because you know what I really have realized on green maps is how flat certain areas are, where I think I'm picking up these subtle breaks, and it's like, no, dude, it's just white here. And that's when I started putting lights out at Red Rock, because you're up on the side of a cliff and you think, oh, all this shit's gonna happen, but there's all these flat areas. And anyway, so good info.
Nothing worse than a flat putt. But all right, Adam, good one. Good content of the week. The Aim Point guys coming out with definitive proof that under every circumstance of every putt, old school reading of greens is clearly slower. So, gents, any closing comments before we slam the door on mental golf, the Cognizant Classic, Golfberg going after McCheese kids or whatever they are, superstitions, Aim Point, going once, going twice.
I will say the one thing I don't have like really superstitions, but as far as like golf gods, whenever you get like one of those just rub of the green situations where you just get really boned, like in my head, I'm like, all right, I know that in the next few holes, something's good. I'm gonna get a good break, and it kind of works the opposite way too, where like maybe I wipe one off the plan, it hits a tree and comes back into play, and I'm like, oh, I know in a few holes I'm gonna get really screwed here.
Oh man, what
Yeah.
a wild experience to golf with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's my mental state.
That's what happens when you eat the same thing for lunch every day through high school.
Listen to this, kids. Don't eat the same thing for lunch. All right, guys, this was great.
By the
All right,
way,
let us,
they you named all those pros earlier.
Mhm.
They're talking to Sam Snead. They're like, "Man, you're a natural." He's like, "Was he Australian?" It took me a million shots to be this natural. I know he's not Australian. I just wanted to do it in the accent. But that's the point. Go hit a million golf shots and your mental golf game's just going to be dialed in.
I just want to say I'm really glad we cut off exiting out of that pod to get that final line in there. And it's going to stay. All right, guys.
Well, I don't know why you had to cap it with that.
Because it makes it real, man. People need to know that this is, this is real. It's real people talking real conversations.
This isn't McFoodie Boys or whatever.
Yeah, we're not
We actually have shit to say.
Yeah, we've had every kind of slice of pizza, man. I could tell you about different variants of pineapples that I've had on pizzas, but
I do like pepperoni though.
Yeah, it is. I hear it's a popular topping, so I'm gonna have to dabble in that.
Oh yeah, the smart kid tried carrots though. He was like, "Nah,
carrots
gross." He hated
on
carrots.
Pizza?
No, in general. That was the first time he tried carrots.
Carrot pizza. Oh yeah, guys, that would be. Oh man, to be 9 again. All right.
Hi.
All right. And thanks for listening. Comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, stay plugged. Peace.
Come back next week for the Pinehurst content.
McPlug boys.